All right, we're now joined by Alan Blondin. He covers Coastal Carolina. We appreciate his time. He writes for the My Horry News, but he also is a freelance writer as well. Alan, thanks for your time in the hotel room. Game tonight, of course, or game tomorrow night, best of three. You know, Coastal Carolina, they've been good in football and they have been really good in baseball. This is not a surprise by any means, is it?
No, they have been very good in baseball for many years, a couple decades. You know, they had a Hall of Fame coach in Gary Gilmore. The current head coach, Kevin Schnall, was one of his assistants for 21 years, also played for him at Coastal Carolina. So, yeah, they've been, 21 regionals since the start, I think since 2000, and 4 supers, now 2 trips to the College World Series. And now their second trip to the World Series Championship Series. So, no, they've been on the map for a long time. That's kind of why Coach Schnall took offense to people possibly calling them a Cinderella. He wants everyone to know that, Coastal's been one of the premier programs in college baseball for many years. And, they're set to do that into the future as well with some big donations to the program, specifically the baseball program moving forward. So, yeah, they're here and they plan to be here to stay, they say.
I thought they were grossly underseeded, and the Sun Belt itself was a little bit disrespected just by them being like, I say that, and they were, a top 16 seed, but still, like, this is a team they hadn't lost. They haven't lost in over a month. I mean, they are playing really, 2 months. Like it's insane how well they're playing and the teams they're beating. And so I think once the super regionals happen, I think people realize like, oh, this is not like some, if you're paying attention, this is not some heartfelt, little guy story. These guys are here to go.
Yeah. They went to Auburn, swept Auburn. At their place. They were, they didn't want to openly say too much about their seeding, but they were clearly disappointed. They thought they had a shot at a number 8 seed that would have guaranteed them a super regional at home. The resume really backed it up with all the wins in a row at the end of the year, beating, sweeping through the Sun Belt at that time, the Sun Belt Championship, beating a Southern Miss team who had won 18 straight games going into the Sun Belt Championship with them. Coastal plays a very difficult out of conference schedule as well. They swept Clemson this year, home and away, lost in extra innings at North Carolina, beat NC State. They go play early season tournaments against some of the top teams in the country. So yeah, they were very disappointed with their seeding, but the whole thing is once you get to Omaha, there really isn't much of a seeding issue anyway. So it's basically a home field thing as far as, which team will be the home field, have the home field advantage in the game. So really it was just getting here. They owned it as their coach said. They got a 13 seed. They owned it and they haven't lost a game in 2 months. So they're here and they're ready.
Yeah, I saw a couple of clips from the press conference, and they were asked about LSU and the Tigers and all that. I got to tell you, just watching them play, even before Omaha, they have an edge to them. They have kind of a swagger, but it's not cocky. It's just they know how good they are. Would that be a good way to explain them?
All right. We are building something that will shake the big brand in the industry.
I just couldn't help myself. It tasted so good. It smelled so good.
I drink so much water now.
No one has been able to provide great water and a compelling alternative to single-use bottles. And I became obsessed with solving that problem.
I would say so, yeah. And they play the right way. They're not an in-your-face. They don't try to disrespect the other team. They just play hard, tough, gritty baseball, and that's their formula for winning this year. It's a very different Coastal team than past years. Their team ERA is 3.2 something. It's it's pretty amazing how good their pitching staff is.
Mm-hmm.
That pitching ERA is 2.5 runs better than it was last year and 3 runs better than their team 2 years ago that was 42-21 and hosted a regional. So that's just how much different this team is than past years. They always used to have to bludgeon you at the plate to win, and this year they probably have the best pitching staff in the country.
How much of that is because of Caden Bodine? Because he is like, not only can he kind of put the ball wherever he wants when he hits it, he sets up a plate better than any college catcher I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, Caden Bodine is how we.
Bodine, sorry,
that's okay. No, he's phenomenal. I mean, it's clear that he's the best. He did win the Rawlings Gold Glove Award at catcher, and he's one of 3 finalists for Buster Posey Award. And it doesn't take much to watch him play. You realize that he's that good. Kevin Schnall, his coach, who was a college coach and was a player of the year in his conference as a player, as a college coach, and has mentored, as a coach for over 20 years now in college, mentored many top level catchers. He says he believes Caden Bodine, defensively catching wise, could catch in the major leagues tomorrow. So, yeah, that's a clear advantage for Coastal to have him behind the plate. His pitchers feel free and appreciate what he offers them as a backstop, and that's, I'm sure, part of the reason, along with new pitching coach Mike Williams, who came from South Carolina this year. They're the 2 kind of key reasons that the pitching staff has developed and become as good as it is.
I just was looking at this from when they won it back in 2016. They beat Arizona in a best of 3, and they opened up in Omaha against Arizona. Now, I know a lot of things have changed, and again, a lot hasn't changed. Is that kind of ironic that they opened up in Omaha against Arizona this year?
Well, in 2016, there's a lot of tie-ins actually to 2016 and this year. A couple of them. One, they actually opened with Florida in the College World Series, who was number 1 in the country at the time, beat them. Then they had to come out of the losers bracket after they lost to TCU. They beat Arizona in the best of 3 series, getting a 1-run victory in the final game, getting a strikeout with runners on second and third in the 9th inning to win it all. A couple of the interesting things, LSU's current coach now was Arizona's head coach then.
Jay Johnston, right?
Jay Johnston, correct. Yeah. He was Arizona's coach at the time, who lost to Coastal in that series final. And Coastal went through LSU in the Super Regional. They had to go to LSU in the Super Regional, beat them to get to the College World Series. So there's a lot of actual tie-ins between the teams, the coaches, going into this 3-game series here to determine everything.
What do you think is the key for them against LSU, a team that seems to they're very similar in that no matter what happens, they're not really ever out of a game. But LSU has, a deep bench, maybe not as deep of a pitching staff though as Coastal does.
The teams are a little bit similar a little bit similar, but LSU has more power. Coastal only has 66 home runs this year. They haven't hit a home run at Omaha yet, despite all their scoring. LSU has more than 100 home runs. Coastal has 66 in 66 games, 67 games, I believe. So they're a little bit different, but really Coastal's going to do what Coastal does and has done all year and has done for 26 straight games to win. They rely on their pitching to keep the game close and they try to get an early lead. They do it in any way possible. One staggering statistic is they've been hit by 176 pitches this year, in addition to having 2 taken away in Omaha so far, which were fairly egregious calls where guys were moving out of the way and still got hit, and the umpires deemed them. It's clear that umpires had some kind of conference and consultation before the World Series, knowing how many times Coastal had been hit to try to watch them, but 176 times, it's an all-time Division I record.
I can imagine.
They get on base. They're top 10 in the country in sacrifice bunts. They're number 1 in the country in sacrifice flies. They steal. They've got more than 100 stolen bases. They try to take the extra base first to third every chance they get. That's how they kind of manufacture runs. They walk a lot. So yeah, they just they're going to try to do what they've done and they do, which is real solid pitching, deep bullpen in addition to the starters. One stat I like to use is they have 9 pitchers on their staff who have thrown at least 20 innings this year. The worst ERA out of those 9 pitchers is 3.51. So they're constantly throwing you good arms at you, regardless of where they are in the game and regardless of where they are on the depth chart. So yeah, they're gonna try to score first. They're gonna try to manufacture runs. They play very good defense. And they pitch very well, so they put a lot of pressure on your offense to have to produce to win the game. And that's essentially their secret to winning, and that's what they're going to do. That's what you're going to see for sure in the next 2 to 3 games.
Well, Coastal Carolina has been a great story, though, because of the football success with Jamie Chadwell and, of course, now Tim Beck last year, I think 8-5. It just seems to be a program that doesn't know it's not an autonomy or Power 4 school. They carry themselves well, don't they, Alan?
Yeah, especially the football. They kind of broke through. They took advantage of COVID. A lot of the Power 5 schools got at the time Power 5, Power 4. No, at the time, a lot of the Power 5 schools didn't play a full schedule. They waited till their conference schedule started to play. Coastal played a full schedule. They were 11-0. They ended up becoming this crazy story. Their social media was crazy because after every game, they used to have some celebration. They did in their locker room, and it would go viral. They did a WWE type thing where they were coming off the top rope onto a mascot on a table, and they had an eating contest with Joey Chestnut, and they gained some fame and notoriety through that one breakthrough season in college football. And that just added on. Honestly, the baseball program has always been their bell cow. It's always been the program that the most of the fans would follow and support. Coastal football has, come on the scene late and just added to, their cachet a bit. But that baseball program has been what they've, tied their hat and their athletic success to for many, many years. And now the baseball program obviously has possibly reached the level that it may not come down from for future years.
Do you think this goes 3 games?
I mean, Coastal hasn't lost in 26 games. So, I keep betting on them until they lose. So, but you would have to assume it would go through. You would think it would go 3 games with with both pitching staffs. With LSU's power, they probably only need a couple big hits to win a game based on how Coastal plays. So you would have to think it would go 3 games.
Man, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. I know that you cover the series. You travel time. You've been all over the country, but that's kind of what we do, Alan. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. Thank you.
From inside of the hotel room.